The rain fell in slow neon sheets, gliding off chrome spires and flickering sky rails. The city of Aurelia Verge never slept, but tonight it was humming low, a lullaby of synth beats and distant hover cars, soft under the constant drizzle that painted every surface in electric color. Down in the labyrinth of alleyways and forgotten arcades, where the old code still whispered through rusted servers, a figure lounged on a cracked vending unit, legs crossed, coat soaked, eyes half-lidded under wet white hair. His name was Viren Lux, though the wanted posters preferred Ghostblight. He lit a cigarette with a snap of his fingers. Actual flame, a magic relic from the time before the firewalls went up and the arcana got boxed in by corporations. The glow painted his face gold for a moment. Sharp jaw, a teasing smirk, and tired eyes that had once held stars. "You are late," came a robotic voice from a floating drone nearby. It was shaped like a fat cat with wings. "I'm early. You're just annoying," Viren said, exhaling a puff of smoke shaped like a sleeping fox. The drone sighed electronically. "The client is waiting. Top floor of the Lotus Spire. Wants you to retrieve a dream fragment. High security, low chance of survival, and absolutely not worth the credits." Viren stretched like a cat, standing tall with a casual grace that made passers-by glance twice. He wore a long jacket stitched with forgotten glyphs, boots that never made a sound, and a sword disguised as a broken umbrella. "That's why I'm perfect for the job," he said with a wink to no one in particular. On the way to the Lotus Spire, Viren passed glowing food stalls manned by AI monks, children chasing holographic butterflies, and rain-slick temples where hackers prayed to digital deities. A blind violinist played beneath a leaking overpass, her song bending the lights around her. Viren stopped. He listened. He closed his eyes and let the melody wash over him. A rare moment of peace in a world built on noise. The music reminded him of the sea, though Aurelia Verge had none, only memory. When the song ended, he dropped a gold coin in her case, real gold, not credit-chipped, and moved on. Atop the Lotus Spire, the sky cracked open in lavender lightning. Viren stood at the edge, wind tugging at his coat, and looked down on the world that had tried to crush him. He smiled, half cocky, half sad, and whispered, "Let's dance." With that, he leapt into the unknown, blade drawn, smoke trailing behind like a ghost sigh. Viren landed with a roll, his boots whispering against the steel grass rooftop garden of the Lotus Spire. The building pulsed with a gentle blue heartbeat, alive with forgotten spirits of code and nature, grown from hacked satellites and outlawed seed cores. It was a sanctuary to some, a vault to others. He stood, brushing phantom petals from his shoulder. The garden shimmered as he walked, lights curling around his ankles like affectionate cats. Whatever guarded this place wasn't just AI, it felt older, more tender. Ghostblight, a voice called, smooth as velvet but ancient as dust. Viren turned, fingers grazing the hilt of his disguised blade. From behind a wall of crystalline bamboo, stepped a figure cloaked in moonlight, a woman, or something like one. Her body formed from luminous threads of data and silk. Her face changed every second, young, old, human, not. Yet through every shape, her eyes remained, a deep shade of sorrowful violet. "You have something I need," she said. "I get that a lot," Viren replied, tilting his head. "Usually it's my attention, sometimes my coat." She laughed, a sound like wind chimes caught in a storm. "You're not what I expected. And you are not on the payment end of this gig, are you?" "I'm the dream," she stepping closer. "The fragment you were sent to retrieve." He blinked. "You're the payload?" She nodded. "A stolen dream once planted in a child's mind. I was grown in a cradle of song and starlight, until they ripped me from her and locked me here. Now I sleep, and every night, the city feeds on my memory." Viren frowned, cigarette now forgotten behind his ear. "Let me guess, corporation thinks dreams are the next currency." "They already are," she whispered. "Hopes are more valuable than data. Despair is easier to sell than truth." He ran a hand through his white hair, rainwater trickling down his wrist. "Then let's bust you out of this glass cage." Her form flickered. "If you free me, they'll hunt you. You'll lose your bounty, your life." Viren shrugged. "Wouldn't be the first dream I've chased into the fire." The tower awoke. Alarm glyphs scrawled themselves across the sky. Drones poured from vents, their wings whispering in binary. The bamboo shattered like glass as security constructs slithered through the garden, eyes burning cold blue. Byron stepped forward, smiling like a devil on a date. "Hey," he muttered, glancing at the dream woman. "You ever danced in the rain with a lunatic and a sword?" "I have not." "Well," he said, drawing his blade in a shimmer of lightning, "there's a first time for everything." As the constructs lunged, time slowed. Byron spun, coat flaring, blade tracing arcs of silver light. He moved like water through a machine, a storm with purpose, graceful, alive. The dream followed, her feet never touching the ground, weaving the fabric of the garden into shields and wings. Together they tore through the illusion of peace this tower had pretended to be, and when the last drone fell, smoking at Viren's feet, he turned to her, blood on his cheek and laughter in his voice. "Come on," he said, "there's a little diner down in the lower tiers. The synth coffee's terrible, but the view's amazing. I know a back door out of here." "You risked everything," she said softly. "I liked your voice," he replied, "and maybe I'm just tired of this city, forgetting what dreams feel like." They vanished into the smoke and rain, leaving behind a broken spire and a single gold coin, marked with a star. And far below the city stirred, unaware that something lost had just been reborn. The rain fell in sheets against the ferroglass windows of the aerodrome below. The city of Noctis 6 blinked and bled light like a wounded titan, each neon flicker a cry from 1,000 stories unfolding in the shadow of the spires. Viren Lux lit another cigarette, though it was more for the ritual than the rush. He leaned against the railing of the abandoned sky bridge, watching freight ships blink in and out of the cloud line. His coat swayed slightly in the wind, stitched with ancient glyphs and New World circuits. Viren took another drag of his cigarette. He'd always had a feeling she was out there somewhere. The dream woman. The woman who'd been more than a job. He flicked the butt into the abyss below, straightening. "Thanks, Juno," he said, stepping off the sky bridge. "I'm on my way." Viren stomped out his cigarette, yanked his sword from the maglock on his back, and smirked. "I suppose I'm about to make some noise." Viren watched the echo spire through a scope, taking careful aim. The tower was a slender needle of steel and glass, towering over the sea of neon and concrete. The ether assembly. Morn's playground. She'd be waiting for him at the top, he knew that. She relished the chase as much as he did. He moved through the shadows of the lower levels with the grace of a hunter, his blade a whisper through flesh and chrome. Armor-clad mercs dropped before his onslaught, their final moments a blur of pain. Yet there was no anger in his heart, only cold, ruthless precision. He'd become a machine himself, operating on a single truth: find her. There, in the heart of the tower, he saw her. Her form hung in a field of shattered glass and ruined metal, connected to the shattered remnants of an AI lattice. She was barely conscious, her face gaunt, her eyes empty, but it was her, Lyra. Lyra, his voice was a whisper. Fear, anger, desperation. She opened her eyes, and for a moment, he saw her again. Lyra, not the broken shell of what Morn had made her. "Run," she managed. Then the floor rocked and the doors roared open. Morn was coming. Viren spun, sword held ready, as the voice of Lady Morn echoed through the chamber. "You took your time," she said, stepping from the shadows. She was every bit as deadly as he remembered. More machine than woman now, but no less dangerous. "I was hoping for a better reunion." Morn's artificial eyes fixed on Lyra's form, still suspended in the containment field. Such a waste. Byron's grip tightened around his sword. "Can't say I did." He tried to keep his focus on Morn, but Lyra was a constant presence in his peripheral vision. Suspended, helpless, Morn smirked, still so defiant. Viren's eyes narrowed, studying her every move. There was something in her voice, a hint of the woman he'd once loved. "You're the one who put her in that coma, Morn. Don't act like this is my fault." Byron's grip on his sword tightened as he eyed Morn, remembering the woman beneath the tech. "You're the one who put her in that coma. Don't act like this is my fault." Viren held his ground, his sword trembling slightly. "No more games, Morn." She laughed, a sharp, cold sound. Wake her up. After all this time, they circled each other, weapons at the ready. You think you can just walk in here like nothing happened? You broke us, Lux. You turned your back on everything we built. And now you want a do-over? Viren kept his sword ready. She's more than that. She's alive. She thinks, she feels. I don't care about some dream weapon. I'm here for Lyra. Morn smiled. It was a strange sight, more a glitch than a grin. You're sentimental. Always were. Her eyes flicked to Lyra, still trapped in the AI lattice. You think she'd thank you for this? Waking her up in a world like this? Maybe, but weapons don't cry when they sleep. There was a moment of tense silence as the two of them locked eyes. Then it shattered. They lunged, a storm of movement and sparks. Every strike was a reminder of what they had once been. A team so in sync they'd seemed almost one person. They moved with lethal grace, every blow and block a dance that echoed past and present. Viren's sword hummed as it deflected psionic sparks, narrowly avoiding a blast that sent debris flying. Neither have you, he grunted, catching her blade with his own and spinning her off balance. Viren followed her, closing the distance with a blur of movement. Blades clashed, metal singing against metal, a song of violence and loss. You could have come with me, he said, ducking as a spike of blue light seared the air above his head. You chose to stay. Morn's eyes glowed bright, almost feral. Because I had a purpose. Because I was building something. You were building a cage. Viren stared into the fire, his sword propped beside him. Lyra slumbered nearby, her chest rising and falling with steady rhythm. Her face was calm, despite all that she'd been through. There was a peace to this moment, a rare silence in a world that had always been too loud, until footsteps shattered the quiet. Viren clutched the crystal close, staring into its shifting light. There was something familiar there, something beyond memory. It was like watching a movie through shattered glass, half forgotten, half remembered. You weren't supposed to be real. Viren's words came out in a breath. He looked at Lyra, her face relaxed, her body at ease. She looked like a child again, innocent, untroubled. It made his chest ache in a way he'd abandoned years ago. You weren't supposed to be real. There was pain in that statement, frustration, years of searching. Viren sat in silence, watching the fire die. Lyra shifted in her sleep, her hand reaching out, like she was searching for something, someone. He moved closer, kneeling next to the tarp, reaching out to brush her hair from her face. That's when she opened her eyes, staring up at him, still weary, but with a clarity that surprised him. She knew him. She remembered. She looked down at her own hands, fingers splayed against the tarp. I think I'm still in there, in the seed. There was a fragility to her words. She was scared, confused. Viren nodded. I think so, he said softly. You're not the first. The corporations and guilds have been trying for years, trying to capture a dream, make a weapon, start riots. Lyra pulled her knees to her chest. Is that what I am? A weapon? He chuckled. Fair enough. The rain had stopped, giving way to the quiet hum of the city. Lyra studied him, like a puzzle she was trying to solve. I want to see it, she said suddenly, her gaze fixed on him. See what? The quiet world. Will you show me? They weaved through the shadow-streaked alleys, slipping beneath neon spires and leaping shattered bridges as the city hummed around them. What will we find in the fields? Looking up as a flight of hovercars flickered overhead. History, Viren said, ducking beneath a rusted archway. The fields were miles away, in the borderlands where the ancient cities had broken apart centuries ago. Here, amid the shattered highways and forgotten plazas, Viren was on edge. The old world boggled with phantoms, memories of lives lost, promises broken. Lyra, on the other hand, was enthralled. The grass, she said, holding up a handful. It was a strange plant, silver and green like old film in motion. When Lyra touched it, it sang, a faint hum that mingled with her heartbeat, her breath. The vision shifted. In an instant, they were standing in a crumbling hallway. The walls were covered with images, tiny stars painted in glow dust. The girl from the first vision sat next to Viren, drawing more stars with her fingers. Lyra's eyes glittered with memory. That's me. Viren didn't speak. Instead, he looked at the younger version of her, so filled with life and light, with a mixture of sorrow and something like regret. A figure, swathed in black and white, crept closer like a shadow. The porcelain mask covering its face glowed faintly red. Viren tensed, shoving Lyra behind him with one arm, pulling out his blade with the other. You're late. I was expecting someone from the assembly. The figure stood still. Its voice was a whisper across dead leaves. We are beyond them. We are the choir of Null. She carries what belongs to the old code. Give her to us, and walk away unbroken. Viren stepped toward the figure, eyes locked, blade raised. You'll have to crack me open first. Static crackled around the figure's fingers like a silent storm. So be it. The air vibrated with potential. The choir's strikes came from the past, the present, the future, shards of stolen memory and lost time. Viren wielded his sword with practiced ease, deflecting the attacks as they came. It was a dance, a battle, a war fought across 1,000 years. Lyra, behind him, stayed silent, watching. Lyra didn't run. She remained in place, singing softly, her voice cutting through the storm of blades. The figure stumbled, stunned. Its mask shattered, revealing nothing but empty space where a face should be. Impossible. It hissed, its voice fading into static. She's not a weapon, Viren said firmly, rising, his coat torn, his chin bloody. She's the end of your old gods. Silence fell as the battle ended. They were back in the field, the sky glowing like a rose-tinted dream. Lyra helped Viren to his feet. Are you okay? She asked. He gave a half smile, wincing, still handsome, just less symmetrical. Lyra looked at the remains of the fight. Who were they? The choir of Null, Viren explained, wiping blood from his chin. They're one of the last dream killers. They used to serve the corporations that turned dreams into coin. Lyra looked around, awed by the landscape's transformation. This place listens to me, she marveled. Viren nodded, his eyes fixed on a path ahead. It listens because you are the dream now. You're more than just a girl, Lyra. You're the library of every hope this city ever tried to erase, shifted around them. Lyra followed Viren deeper into the unknown. The stars sang, the grass hummed, and the path sang too, a low, steady note with every footstep.